Okay, good morning. So, we were here yesterday. I was discussing with you the concepts of locking and spurious modes, philosophically. Philosophically means without giving you any details, but what I was telling you that if you use a shear deformation theory like the Reissner-Mindlin plate theory, which includes shear deformation. So, no doubt the theory is good for finite element because the formulation becomes C0 continuous. Shape functions are easily derived, simple formulation, plus it also includes shear energy. So, it can also be used for thick plates, it can also be used for laminated plates and so on and so forth. So, there are advantages, but then when the thickness of the plate or beam or shell becomes thin, same formulation, same thing, only one dimension becomes thin, then what you encounter is a phenomena called locking. What is locking is that the displacements that you obtain becomes very, very small. Very small means not half or 1/4 or 1/10, but 1000, 10,000 times less, same formulation. So, it is so that people gave this phenomena a term locking, that your displacements are getting locked. Becoming very small means they are your plate, flexibility of the plate is simply not there. It is displacement, no displacement. If you expect a displacement of 1 centimeter and you are getting a displacement of 1 into 10 to the power of minus 5 centimeters. So, what is the meaning that? That it is at all, it has become very stiff. So, very stiff behavior was reflected in this formulation in the thin regime. Well, some solutions had to be obtained. So, one solution that was obtained, that I will also tell you later, is doing the integration in the stiffness matrix, because you have to integrate the stiffness matrix B transpose E B integral. So, if you do not do that integration exactly, that means if you require, because all these things came after numerical integration had become a common thing. So, then people said, and it occurred accidentally. This again, the solution that I am telling you, numerical integration, if you were to integrate that integral by a formula which required 3-point integration, then the solution showed locking phenomena. But if you do not integrate by 3-point, but you integrate by a 2-point formula, which is not correct, which is incorrect, then people found accidentally that the displacement that was obtained was reasonable. So, they gave the name to this method as reduced integration method, reduced integration technique. It is a trick, it is not a method. So, I will say only technique, and it was not developed, it just occurred accidentally. That I will tell you the history, how did it occur. Okay. So, reduced integration started being used in the thin. Once you have a thin plate, thin shell, thin beam, then people started using reduced integration in order to get reasonable solution. Then they found that sometimes in a particular boundary condition problem, boundary condition means some peculiar boundary. Supposing you have a plate supported only, you must have seen in some parks, there are some roofs with only 4 columns, 4 corner supports, a plate supported only on 4 corners, no beam here, just a slab, and they will, of course, it is a very light structure, it is only to cover the you from shade. So, something will be there and there will be 4 column. Now, after all this will deflect, but then if you use this reduced integration technique, you will not get solution, you will get overflow in the computer. But if you make it simply supported, same problem, you will get solution. So, all these things, these are experiences in the finite element history, because the method is approximate. So, you do something, not that you do something intentionally, but then this is how. So, people saw that in particular, with a particular boundary condition, the solutions were not coming. But this was very dangerous. If you are solving a very big complex problem with very complicated system, and then you will not get solution. And the same big problem, if you give some different boundary condition, then you will get solution. So, what is this? This is not a solution method, no reliability. Then people found what is causing that problem is this. You are getting more than the necessary 0 eigenvalues in the element. By doing reduced integration, what is happening? The number of 0 eigenvalues are increasing. Okay. So, then the diagnosis was that it is occurring because of extra 0 eigenvalues, and 0 eigenvalues, they represent rigid body modes, rigid body motion of the element, because once anything deforms, first is rigid body, then only deformation. First it will just move as a rigid body, then strain and stress. So, rigid body mode has to be there anyway. So, that means extra rigid bodies, that was found, and that was the cause for this, why you were not getting solution in some particular boundary condition. Anyway, solution has been obtained even for this, how to get rid of this problem, but these are all tricks, not straightforward solution procedures. Okay. So, there are many things that finite element needs. So, these are the developments that have taken place from 1975 onwards. See, first 10 to 12 years was the basic methodology, everything is very sound. People started using the method and they thought they have solved all the problems, but it is not so. The more you go, try to improve, do something, you come across so many problems. So, there are a lot of problems that you have to encounter. So, these are the two problems that you face with shear deformation theory. One is locking, other one is extra 0 energy modes. And this, I think I told you that what happens in, like, I will just explain this with reference to Timoshenko beam theory. Timoshenko beam theory is similar to, it is not the Euler-Bernoulli beam theory, but the next level of theory that includes shear energy. So, displacement model is same as that of Euler-Bernoulli, and here the non-vanishing stresses and strains are this. Now, your strain relation will be epsilon x will be this, and the shear means this, gamma xz, because I am writing that equal to phi, will be given by this. Now, you should note here that these two, this is the extensional strain, this is the shear strain, they will enter into the expression for your energy, pi. Pi is the strain energy, total potential energy, and that consists of strain energy. So, pi contains, now this also must be. So, C0 formulation will always have the expression for pi, which will contain only first derivative of the basic dependent variable. It will not contain second derivative. You will find that energy expression for Kirchhoff plate, Euler-Bernoulli beam, Love's theory, they will contain second derivative. But while the theory which contains shear energy, that will contain only first derivative. And the finite element formulation that this one will require is only C0. So, this is also another way of looking at it. If your energy expression has only first derivative of dependent variable, that means your formulation will be C0. If the energy expression is having second derivative, then what is the meaning of that? In the integral you have second derivative. Second derivative, that means you have to evaluate the second derivative. So, if you have to evaluate the second derivative, one derivative less than the highest derivative that is occurring in the expression must be continuous. That is why the first derivative dw by dx should be continuous, not only just w, but also the derivative. It is always continuity requirement in any expression is, if you want to integrate a function second derivative, then the requirement is the up to first derivative the function must be continuous. That is why that C1 continuity comes. Okay. So, and what happens in Euler-Bernoulli beam is this transverse shear strain, which we write down, transverse shear strain, the same expression which I had written, I had written here phi equal to this, phi is the transverse shear strain theta dw by dx, this is set equal to 0. So, this if you set equal to 0, you get theta equal to dw by dx, and this causes occurrence of second derivative in the potential energy functional pi. What gives you second derivative in the energy expression is this, because then you express everything in terms of only w, and w will become second derivative. The moment you see any second derivative in any energy expression, you should say, oh, I will have to use C1 continuous finite element, C1 continuity of displacement. That means I have to have continuity of not only the w, but also its derivative. Both must be degrees of freedom. Then only you can have continuity, and that involves, and such formulation involves C1 continuous interpolation function in the finite element. So, I am emphasizing the same thing in different ways. What I have been telling you so far is this. In nutshell, I have a simple diagram. If this is the thickness of a beam or a plate or a shell, a small element, I have just taken a small element, and this vertical line is the normal, transverse normal, this dotted line is the mid surface or mid line or neutral axis, dotted line. There should not be any confusion after seeing this diagram. This small element after deformation, of course, it will get deflected. So, we have to show this small deflection. It will not change it so much that everything angle will be different. It is small deflection. So, after deformation in a Kirchhoff theory, if this line is the neutral axis, this normal will become like this, and this 90 degree will be maintained. Okay? 90 degree between this line and this thickness line will be maintained, normal will be maintained. That is in the Kirchhoff theory. Anything Euler-Bernoulli beam theory, Kirchhoff plate theory, Poisson-Kirchhoff plate theory, and Love shell theory. This one is this, exactly same, no difference. Now, when you include shear, then we are saying that this normal, it remains straight, but not necessarily normal. So, it takes a shape like this. And this shape like this means you have an additional angle that you are seeing here. And what is that additional angle? Additional angle is this, because this is the normal, this dotted line, and additional angle is this. This is the additional angle by which this normal rotates, and this angle is what? This is the shear angle. This is gamma xz. Gamma xz, and it is constant throughout the thickness, same, because it is straight line, so it cannot change. So, it is not changing through, actually it should change, but it is not happening. So, that is called Timoshenko for the beam, Reissner-Mindlin for the plate, and Nagdi for the shell, Nagdi. Similar, exactly similar formulation they have done. So, Timoshenko for the beam, Reissner-Mindlin for the plate, and Nagdi for the shell. Then you come to this. We assume that after deformation normal does not remain straight, but it becomes curved. It takes a cubic curve, cubic curve. So, it gets deformed, deformation of normal is there, and such a theory which includes deformation of the normal, that means this is also called, by the way, warping of the cross section. Warping, if you have heard about the term warping, what is warped? Cross section gets warped, that means cross section of a beam or a plate or a shell comes out of plane, it becomes something like this. It goes out, goes in, out and in. So, that is warping, that is called, that phenomena is warping. So, but if you take a single line, it will be like this, normal. So, such formulations are, or such are higher order, that means you are taking additional terms which I had explained to you in the plate theory. So, you can include this, and nowadays we are using this to a great extent for composites, higher order theory, higher order models for composites, because they are, this is not enough, this is definitely useless, this one is also not good for sandwiches and composite, we have to use something like this minimum if you want to. Then this diagram all of you must practice and see. This is for a plate. Very clearly I have shown the state of stress in a plate that exists. I think this I must have drawn in the class also, those of you who took the plate course, plate and shell course, but not, but here I have, there I was looking for, because there I was using blackboard. So, I was looking for this diagram which I had made long time back. So, it was there in this file. There are so many files. So, it is difficult to search which file, which paper is there, that itself is a big job, you know. Okay. So, this is, that is at a distance, see this is the mid surface, this line is mid surface, this solid plus 2 dot, solid plus 2 dot, I think you know mid, you know, any center line we draw like this. So, this is the mid surface, and this whatever hatched line you are seeing, that is at a distance z and of thickness dz. So, this is the hatched line. So, what is the stress acting at a point on this? So, you make a small parallelepiped. This is a 3-dimensional, you know, parallel. So, it is a parallelepiped, and then show the stresses on the positive and negative planes. So, for example, this is my positive x plane. So, there will be sigma x, tau x y and tau x z at this point. Similarly, this one is my positive y plane. So, sigma y, tau y x and tau y z. Is it okay? Why I have put here star and this one? Because this one is negative plane, this is a negative plane. So, I have tried to show if this is of a finite, if this is of a finite size, then there will be change from here to here, and the change will be like this. Change means there will be some increment, increment will be derivative. Similarly, here there will also be some increment. So, it is a, so this diagram you should know. You should also know what are your positive directions, positive displacements and positive rotations. These are our positive rotations. Theta y is going inwards along y x direction, theta x is going along y direction in the positive direction, but that is theta x. So, this, and then the load is acting on the top surface, Px plus Py plus Pz plus. So, like this we can have this is the element of a simple plate. So, you should know this, but plate theory is a 2-dimensional theory. So, what we do, we integrate all these stresses and put the effect of these integrated stresses on the mid surface. So, we do not, in a plate theory, in a shell theory or in a beam theory, we do not consider the thickness. This must set in your mind fully. I find even in conferences, meetings, even senior people do not have this concept. They do not understand that beam means a line. We do not have to worry about the thickness of the beam, not h depth. In a beam theory, it is a one-dimensional theory. So, we are studying the behavior of a single line. Plate, we are studying the behavior of only this mid surface. Shell, again it will be curved surface, mid surface. So, mid surface, after you have integrated these stresses, you will get something like this. Although I have shown here the thickness, but thickness is the effect of these stresses have been put only on the mid surface here. These are all integrated values of stresses. Integrated. Integral sigma x dz is nx. Integral sigma x dz is nx. qy, tau yz dz integral from here to here is qy. It is like this. And they are all put only on the mid surface. These are all integrated values. So, any plate theory will include only these forces. Similarly, these moments, you also get moments. So, moments will also act on the mid plane in a plate theory. So, I have shown here the positive moments, and there is the positive forces. So, this also please practice. Now, how do you start the formulation? First of all, you must have some idea about a plate, theoretical background about a plate theory. You cannot study plate finite element without knowing plate theory. Okay. So, read some book, basic idea about plate theory, first chapter. So, in a plate what happens? Kinematics as you know means deformation. Kinematics. What is the kinematic relation? Now, here those of you who have been following my lectures in the other, I have made slight change for the simple fact. So, this is the displacement within the plate at any point P are u, v, w, which are functions of x, y, z, and we are considering here only flexure of plate, flexure, no extension, because that can always be added. That is like plane stress, addition of plane stress state, extension. So, we are considering only flexure of plate. So, flexure of plate, you will have every cross section will simply move like this. So, it will be z times rotation. Now, I am not calling here theta x, slight change is there. The reason is I wanted to make theta x to be in x direction positive. Okay. So, if you study continuum plate theory, then we write the here z into theta x. But that theta x is not in the vector, is not in the x direction, that theta x is in y direction, that is in y direction. So, here if I take theta y is here, you just see. So, it is in y direction. And somebody was asking me yesterday, sir, some books y plus and minus. So, this is where it is there, because now I have made everything positive. U naught positive like this, V naught positive along y, W naught positive along z, theta x positive along x, theta y positive along y, and of course, there is no rotation along z, there is no rotation. So, if you have this sign convention, then this small change will be there. It is just a, if you see this. So, the displacement at any point P is given by u v w. U v w, u at any point inside the plate. This is not a blackboard. So, at any point P inside the plate is u v w, that can be written as, because this is written horizontally. So, I have written here u transpose, u means u is normally written vertically, u vector is u v w column. Now, if I want to make it a row, then I have put a transpose here. just to save space, nothing else. It is just to, instead of, otherwise it will take 3 lines, now it is taking only 1 line. So, it is a way of writing, concise writing, nothing else. There is no other reason why it has been written like this. Similarly, the displacement of P naught, U bar is the displacement of P naught. What is P naught, by the way? What is difference between P and P naught? P naught is on the mid surface. P naught is the corresponding, if you have the normal, normal will cut some point in the middle surface. So, that is P naught. Displacement of P naught is given by 3 quantities, and those are theta x, theta y and W naught. Or you have to write like this, W naught, theta x, theta y. I think this one is more convenient. We always write first displacement, then rotation, not this. So, some books write like this also, but I think this one is preferred, W naught, theta x, theta y. So, displacement of the mid surface can be defined completely by knowing these 3 quantities, is it not? If you know these 3 quantities, yes, I can find out displacement of any point within. So, that is important. So, having established this, you please find out next step in finite element is first establish your displacement or theory displacement, then find out your strain. There is nothing, no finite element so far. This is the basic theory of plate. Then you find out the strains. Strains are always derivatives of displacement. Theory of velocity, go to theory of velocity, strain displacement relations. There are 6 strain displacement relations. I think we have written here only 5. Why we have written only, I have written only 5 here, not 6? Epsilon z is 0, plate. Plate, we are making assumption that epsilon z is 0, is it not? Thickness does not change. So, what is the use of writing that? That is all. So, that is why we have written only 5. So, epsilon x du by dx will be, go here, du by dx will be z d theta y by dx, and this quantity we are calling kappa x, z times kappa x. Curvature, this quantity is change in curvature. Initial curvature was 0 plate, after it has deformed, it has become like this. So, change in curvature is kappa 0 to this. Rate of change of rotation is curvature. So, this is kappa x. Similarly, epsilon y equals z times kappa y. Then twisting curvature here. In plane strain will be z times kappa xy. So, this quantity is kappa xy. Now, in the computation, see plus minus, there will be whatever you have learnt in plate theory because of the change in the sign convention here, which I have effected. See, there if you put theta x equal to theta y, is it not? This theta x equal to theta y. Instead of theta x, we have put theta y, and theta y equal to minus theta x. If you effect that change, everything else will be following. Now, what by doing this, I have made all these rotations positive. That is all, nothing else. So, this is one way of looking at it. So, this is this, and then gamma xz du by dz dw by dx, and that is this one. And since it is a constant, it does not change, there is no z here. It does not vary with z, constant angle, shear angle, constant. So, let us call that shear angle by phi x. Shear angle, phi x is the shear angle in xz plane, phi y is shear angle in yz plane. So, you have got the strain displacement relations, strains at any point P in terms of the curvature of the mid surface and shear angles of the mid surface. So, this relation is, again this is straightforward, it is it follows directly from your displacement field. Then yes, then you have to have expression for mid surface strains. What has happened? Not coming? Oh, coming. Okay. good. I think display is okay. So, this is mid surface strains. What are mid surface strain? There is kappa x, kappa y, kappa xy, there is phi x and phi y. So, this is how I have just put it in a, kappa x, kappa y and kappa in a one bracket and this shear in another bracket. I am calling here B, here calling this part as S. And there is a bar quantity you must be seeing here, bar, above, strain bar. Strain bar refers to all the quantities that you are find. Some people are simply sleeping. They do not want to relaxing, what is the use of listening, let us relax. So, try to, so bar quantity refers to mid surface, and quantity without bar means point P. Quantity with bar means we are talking of mid surface P naught. So, all these bar means strains of the bar. And then you simply have to organize your strains. Strain bar can be written in terms of these basic displacement, W naught theta x theta y. So, there will be L times U bar. What is U? U is UVW and U bar means, U bar is this. We are calling this vector as U bar. I think I must have given you in the earlier one. Yes, I think I gave it here. See, right in the beginning I made it very clear. U is this and U bar is this. So, there should not be any confusion. Mid surface is U bar. Because now we are talking, everything will be only in terms of mid surface, whole plate theory. So, this strain, mid surface strain is equal to L times U bar. Now, here I have partitioned this matrix. There is some reason. This L matrix, total L matrix has been partitioned into two parts. There is a reason for it. It is not given in most books. The reason is most books do not go in details about reduced integration, locking, then zero energy mode, then how to develop effective elements. So, they just give you the procedure, but that procedure will fail when you have thin regime. When you have thin plate, then that will not work. So, there is a reason for partitioning. So, this part I am calling LB, this top one, and then bottom part is because of shear. So, LS, bottom part is LS, and this one, the top one, because here also I am saying total strain consists of epsilon B, 3 terms, and epsilon S. So, there are 5 quantities in the total strain, there are 5 quantities. So, we can also write down the bending strain of mid surface and the shear strain of mid surface into LBU and LSU, U bar. U means U bar. So, this expression is good. And sometimes, see, this is preparation before doing the finite element. We are not talked about the type of element, whether you are using rectangular element or quadrilateral or triangular. No talk. This is the basic preparation. So, every finite element work requires some basic preparation, initial preparation. So, that you have to do. So, you have to partition this like this, and if you I think I have given this in one of our papers. You see, that is my student was one Butalia, Sardarji. He was very T.S. Butalia, T.S. Tarunjit Singh, T.S. Tarunjit, my name, Tarunjit Singh Butalia from Punjab. There is a story attached to this Butalia. He is from Chandigarh. So he did his masters. Now even, see that I am saying, even in masters he was so motivated. In 18 months, in those days only 6 months thesis work was there. 18 months he produced work of a quality worth publishing in a good journal. And he published before leaving this place. Okay, so this is called motivation of a student, you know. Coming from Punjab, very, you know, people are carefree, not very, we always feel that people from South India and Bengal, they are more motivated. But this man was from Punjab, Chandigarh. So he, after doing his masters, he applied to some universities for PhD. Of course, he took my recommendation, etc. So that is different matter. But then one Sunday morning, I found that he landed at my home. You know, hey, what is the matter, Butalia, Tarunjit? No, sir. What happened? I purchased my ticket to go abroad, everything, but then I have lost my passport last minute. So in hurry in Delhi, he was saying he was just going from this office to that office. In the process, in one tempo, I mean this three-wheeler, he says that somehow he either the passport fell down or something, so he lost his passport. Last minute, almost he was about to fly tomorrow, and today he has lost his passport. Now you can imagine the plight of this boy. What to do? He had to cancel his passport was issued from Bombay. Then he came here. Then again police verification, this, that, but then the police was very good. In fact, the police inspector came to my home just to cross-check his identity that day. The police inspector from the police station, he came along with him, sir, he is in trouble, I want to help him. That's very good, you know, it's very unusual of police office to, So that inspector came, and so it was only, so on my certification that yes, he was a student of this place, and he stayed here for more than 2 years, 18 months. They issued him again but what I am saying, so you have to be very careful, you know, anything can happen, and then it disturbs your whole schedule, you know. So you have to be very careful in life. So take care. Don't be very careless, you know, it will happen. Doesn't matter, you know, I can put this page somewhere else. No. I think you be methodical, be very careful in life, because that will go a long way. So he paid for it. Now he is a professor at Ohio State University, Tarunjit Singh Butalia. So year before last I had gone to him, you know. So he is there. So so that paper is, I was just saying, we have described the whole procedure of a good plate element in one paper. And all this you will find in that paper. It is published sometime, maybe 1981. Myself, Butalia, and another Dikshit, 3 persons. You can get the reference from my website, Butalia, Tarun Kant, and V.D. Dikshit. 3 persons are there. From my website, you just see the reference. You can read that paper. The details are there. Because that procedure you should know. Having defined your, established your strains, you find out the potential energy. So in the usual manner, I think this is strain energy minus work done by forces, body forces, then traction forces, edge forces. I think I will not spend time on this, because otherwise time is always at premium. So this is, you can do. Then we have so this is seminar mode now. Seminar mode is flash. you get everything only a flash. So, then you find out the strain energy. Strain energy, there are two types of strain energy, one is flexure, other one is shear. Flexure and shear, so we can find out in the usual manner. Flexure consists of epsilon, sigma x, sigma y, tau x y, and then the corresponding strains, and you can get this strain energy in terms of the mid surface strain and mid surface forces. Okay. So, this is the final expression. Incidentally, this anyway, this is recorded, so it will be available to you. This video, that is one good thing about video. And here I have written here very clearly that epsilon b is this, and epsilon b is this, these three kappas, and sigma b bar is this, mx, my, mxy. So, this is bending, that means bending I am separating from shear. Okay, I am splitting the total strain energy into bending and shear. There is a reason for it. Then I can find out the shear strain energy, second part, US. US consists of tau xz will do work on gamma xz, tau yz will do work on gamma yz, and then if you proceed, fill up all the quantities, then you can get the two-dimensional expression here. This is in area, you start with volume and come here over area. Last expression only is in area. Area means mid surface area. So, it is Es and sigma s bar, and these quantities are Qx, Qy, phi y, phi x. By the way, this is phi y, phi x because of that. So, that one should be there. Then you have the total strain energy like this, whatever we have derived. Now, here I have, of course, in those days I was using D instead of E. So, this D means your elasticity matrix for plate. Plate means relationship between, dB means relationship between mx, my, mxy and kappa x, kappa y, kappa xy. ds means relationship between qx and qy and phi x and phi y. Phi x, phi y are shear angles. Okay. So, this one, so we can write like this. See, strain energy always is a quadratic function. See, there is a strain transpose, again dB strain. So, it is a quadratic function. Then one can find out the work done. Then equilibrium, you know, pi equal to u minus w, and then minimize this, take the first variation of this, that is this, delta u minus delta w, principle of minimum potential energy. You can also interpret this as a principle of virtual work principle, virtual work principle or principle of virtual work, or virtual displacement principle. You know, there are so many ways of expressing the same thing. So, this I have been telling. So, all these things are needed, and these constitutive relations, you know, first I think all these quantities have been defined. You know, this one, sigma and this and that, everything is defined. Now, having done this preparation, and then this looks something like this. This is not very good. I think I have to rewrite. I don't know why. Let me see whether it is improving. Yes. So, it is. So, anyway, we can do this. You can establish your constitutive relation. Basic thing is this. Now, then come to your element. Here we will say element. Yes. After doing so much work, then comes element. Why we are able to assemble the element property is because the strain energy, the total potential energy can be summed up. all. Element potential energy can be summed up to find out total potential energy. So, we can work only on the element and then do the assembly. So, here I have taken a quadrilateral element which can be mapped into a 2 by 2 element, 2 unit by 2 unit psi eta element. So, general quadrilateral elements, each one is having 3 degrees of freedom, W naught, theta x, theta y. So, 3 into 4, 12 degrees of freedom total, it is possible to write like this. Now, here see there is no relationship between W and theta x and theta y, while in a Kirchhoff plate theory only W is independent. Next one we will be writing dW by dx and dW by dy. So, they are all related, here there is no relationship, okay. They are all independent. So, this is what is the difference between the two, and we can do this shape function. We can now I will quickly, these things these are all mechanical. We can find out the B matrix, and again B matrix can be split into two parts. B matrix will be split total shape function matrix, N matrix total, then B matrix means BB and BS, shear and bending. So, like this we can split this and it looks something like this. And then we can find out our stiffness properties like this. Stiffness property and the load vector property, stiffness and load vector can be found out like this. But for finding out you have to do hard work. It is not, this is only to show. The boundary conditions that we normally encounter in a Reissner-Mindlin plate formulation. One is clamped. Wherever there is a clamp, all these 3 degrees of freedom will become 0. Normal rotation and tangential rotation. See, I have not written here theta x, theta y. Normal means normal and tangential to the edge. Edge can be anything, edge need not be in x direction. So, normal is this and t is this, okay, normal and tangential. If it is free, q, mn, mnt, but then these are not your degrees of freedom. Q is not your degree of freedom. Your degrees of freedom only this. At every node you have only this quantity as your exposed quantity, degrees of freedom in the finite element formulation, because we are using displacement based finite element. Only nodal degrees of freedom, nodal displacements are DOFs, not forces. Forces are inside, they are not exposed at the nodes. So, how will you meet this condition, free condition? I have no way of meeting. If it is free, this edge is free, this is a plate and this edge is free, so many nodes are coming here, what should I put boundary condition? I can't put anything, just leave it as it is. So, wherever free condition is there, you simply do not put anything. Actually, you should put this moment, normal moment 0, this 0, shear force 0. But then where to put? Because my quantities are only, as a node I know only displacement. So, just leave it. Any force, you cannot prescribe any force quantity in displacement finite element formulation. All your programs that you use, free boundary condition cannot be prescribed. Understand? So, what you do? You will always get some error near the free condition, because you are not giving the boundary conditions right. So, you have to do, there will always be some error in your solution near the free edge. Okay. So, do not give anything. Simply supported, there can be two types of, I think this I have discussed in the other class, but anyway, you can have, these are the two types of simply supported boundary condition that we can think of if it is only flexure, if it is flexure, and of course, I have taken also symmetry boundary condition and skew symmetry boundary condition that you can. But the basic thing that I want to discuss is this before I. Huh? You have a class, yes, last one. I also want to. Sorry, I will show you this. This you can imagine. Anyway, let it be recorded. Huh? Doesn't matter. They will say that how poor was the teacher. Huh? So anyway, so this is this is a result that I have obtained for a cantilever beam. This is for a problem, a beam which is cantilever and with a tip load P here. So this is the, and then this will deflect. So deflection will be something like this of the, and you all know that this deflection is PL cube, if L is the length, PL cube by 3 EI. Huh? I think that much you know, cantilever beam. For a slender beam, for a Euler-Bernoulli beam, slender, thin beam, yes, it is PL cube by 3I, not for a thick beam. Thick beam you do not know, you have solved only thin beam, but PL cube by 3I. So for this problem, this is thin cantilever beam, thin. Thin means I have taken 1 by 1000. Length is something 1000, thickness is 1, very thin. See, this is the kind of result. You kindly see this. With one element, you are getting 0.2 in 10 to the power of minus 4, single element solutions. That means total length is only one element. Of course, that will be very bad solution. Two element, some improvement, it has just gone 0.8 into 10 to the power of 4. 4 element, 0.32 into 10 to the power of 3. 8 element, 0.1828 into 10 to the power of minus 3 displacement. And 16 element, I am getting 0.512 into 10 to the power of minus 3. Program, there is no error, but this is the kind of result that you get. This phenomena, even with 16 elements, there are 16 elements along this, 2 noded 16 elements, you are getting such stiff result. And how much was my expected result? 1. I have non-dimensionalized my displacement. This I was expecting 1. PL cube by 3I, I have non-dimensionalized. PL cube by 3I has been set equal to 1. Unity, non-dimensional. Now you can see, even with 16, with 64 also it became only 0.1 to 10 to the power of minus 3, 10 to the power of minus 2. So very poor. It is improving, no doubt, but what is the order? So this is called locking. This has been done with 2-point quadrature, exact integration, exact stiffness matrix has been evaluated exactly. I got this result, very bad, and people were not understanding this phenomena. So they gave this, oh, forget it, I cannot get. But the moment you increase the thickness, you will get. The moment I increase the thickness, same problem deep. Increase the thickness, 2-point quadrature here also, the results started getting like this. So I will just discuss this one and then stop. 1.4, so here it was 0.2, 10 to the power of minus 1, improved. 2.445, 16 element, 0.981, very close to 1. So with a deep, for a thick element, it was giving me good result. For a thin element, it was not giving me result at all. So this phenomena was termed locking. Even if you have not understood this, then I think God only can help you. So, okay, so this is with everything exact. This was the status. Now, then we did approximate. This is the last. You take few more. Doesn't matter, Sometime. So approximate the same program I did with 1-point quadrature. 1 point. See, the exact integration required 2 point. 2 point, two Gauss point. 2 Gauss point. Now then I did only 1 point, the center. center in the 0, 0 and the weight will be 2 times something, it comes. Now, the results were like this. You can see here 0.999. Of course, you will be very happy. Oh, I have got the result. Same program, only what you have to do, you are not integrating the stiffness matrix correctly, but you are doing approximately, and you got with one element 0.75, two element 0.93, all these 10 to the power of minus has gone, disappeared, and with 8 element 0.996 point, convergence is good. It is converging to the true solution. So, convergence is good here. So, this is called reduced integration. I have reduced the order of integration and this is giving me result. Let me tell you last story that this kind of solutions were obtained with this, because formulation became apparent that we should use a shear deformation theory. There is a person called Ahmad in Bangladesh. He was a PhD student at University of Wales in Swansea. Ahmad. He is a professor in Dhaka. He was a professor in Dhaka University after. So, he had gone there under Commonwealth to do PhD. So, he was given a topic of that you develop shell element and plate element, okay, there for his PhD in 1970, yes, it was near 6970. Zienkiewicz and Bruce Irons were his supervisor, 2 persons, Ahmad. Now, Ahmad did everything and he found this, that for thick, yes, as long as his beam plate shell was thick, we are getting good result, no point, no problem. The moment he made it thin, but plate means thin, otherwise it is 3-dimensional, of course, you are solving it a 2-dimensional problem, that is okay. So, no answer. So, he did not tell this phenomena to his supervisors, he kept it to himself. Some students always hide, there is some peculiar phenomenon, but that should have been told, You should always discuss, sir, this is what is same program, same, only one data I am changing, thickness I am reducing, and my solutions are becoming like this. That he should have told to his supervisor, that he did not say. So, but somehow he managed to only do thick beam, thick plate and thick shell problem using this formulation and got his PhD. Came back, became a professor, again became a MP also of Bangladesh. He entered politics also, Yes. So, he was a member of parliament, and then anyway, so now he must have retired and relaxing. But then later on, his program was given to some other student. This is what happens in university setup, you have developed. That fellow reported the matter to Zienkiewicz, sir, I am not getting result. So, Zienkiewicz said, oh no, this was done by Ahmad. Why you are not getting result? So, Ahmad was asked they wrote to Ahmad, what is this matter, this boy is facing problem. So, Ahmad said, sir, but I was getting good result for thick, sir. But I didn't get, yes, I also faced this, but then only I concentrated on thick. So, then this problem, and one day, this boy who was doing, accidentally, because in those days we used to punch cards, every data was fed, the thickness, you feed the read thickness, there will be one card. So, we will punch, okay, thickness equal to 1 centimeter. In the next one, we'll say thickness equal to 10 centimeter. By mistake, so we will also say use number of gas points, 1 or 2. So, we will punch 1 in one or 2. So, by mistake he had punched 1. Instead of 2-point integration, he had punched 1, this boy, second one. And he got this result, this one. So, he said, what is happening? How can I get this result? This one, this column, this one is like this. Then when he went to his data, found out, oh, he had made a mistake. Sir, I should have given 2-point integration because this exact integration 2 point, but by mistake I had punched 1. So this is the story that by accident he got it, and then they did a number of problems like this by reducing integration, and they found every time they got the result. So no explanation, no theory, they gave this method reduced integration technique, reduced integration, one point less than the one which you require for exact integration. If you use, it is reduced integration, and you are getting result. So, but later on it has been discovered and number of things have come out why we are getting, but that time it did not. So, this boy and Zinkiewicz and Ahmad, they wrote a paper that yes, they are getting this phenomena, and it is, let us call this a reduced integration. There is nothing in the paper because it is the same, there is no theory, nothing, only 1 point less, 1 point more, you know. So, but then this was the phenomena. So, from 1972 to 1978, it was a hidden, it was a trick. Use reduced integration in thin regime, you will get result. In thick, use the normal Gauss point. Okay. So, this is how it was going on. So, I will stop here. There are number of stories in finite element, but I cannot go on. So, I have to. So, this is. So, thank you very much for sharing and some of my experiences.